My name's Doug Chapin, and I study elections at the Pew Center on the States as part of electionline.org. The first question is, what has been the biggest effort to reform the election process in the United States? And I would say that is the decision by the federal government in the wake of the 2000 presidential election to treat election administration and not just voting rights as an issue that it was interested in addressing. Until the 2000 election, the federal government had only intervened in the election process in the area of voting rights for minorities, for language minorities, disabled voters, overseas voters, and the like. It had never actually gotten into the process of how voters cast those ballots, the registration lists, the machines, and the like. And the problems that emerged during the 2000 election that people were so interested in after the 2000 election led the federal government to seriously consider what role it needed to play in the electoral process in this country. The bill that passed in 2002, the Help America Vote Act of 2002, was significant then for a couple of respects. First, it involved the federal government for the first time in giving guidance to states on state and local administration, what sort of machines they ought to consider, how they should organize their voter lists, what sort of safeguards they should put in place for voters who didn't find themselves in the process. But probably the most important thing that the Help America Vote Act, or HAVA, did was, for the first time literally in the history of the country, it made federal money available to state and local governments to fund those changes. And so I think the biggest effort we have seen in this country, and probably one that's going to resonate for years to come, is this decision by the federal government to involve itself in the nuts and bolts of election administration. I think the jury's still out as to whether or not that federal involvement is sort of a one-shot deal after the 2000 presidential election, or whether it's an ongoing commitment. In many ways, what happens on Election Day in 2008, and then what happens in Congress as a result of that in 2009 and beyond, will help us answer that question.